This is Charleston explaining what needs to be done. This says all other planes up here, the multiverse, scary. And this says Ath, happy fun times. What this means is this is where you guys take place. All of this area is Ath. This tissue right here, this paper towel, is the boundary to the multiverse, the plane shift that you must go through, the atmosphere, so to speak. And all of this up here is the nebulous area. And then up here is where the other planes connect. The upper planes, the lower planes, Faerun, Oath, all of those. This is how Charleston is going to explain his master plan and the different things that you will all be doing. He's going to explain it more, but this is what it's going to visually look like. This rock here, you can imagine this rock as the demons and the demons' power and influence. And this rock is setting on top of your plane shifted boundary. The demons are down here, right? They're trying to pull through. This rock is them pulling through. That's how it's leaking through. The abyss is culminating through this rock. The abyss is siphoned through this rock, and this rock just wants to pierce. It wants to just bust through the entire plane shifted boundary. It wants to make a hole that big. Now Charleston has battled for a very long time, and he wants to combat this, and he thinks a surgical strike will work better. Instead of making a hole this big, he wants to make a hole this big, much smaller area. He wants to cut through the boundary. Because what you need is you need this rock. You need the demon's power point to go from up here to be down here in Ath. So that way it can no longer contact the abyss, no longer bring in more corruption and plague. So instead of this entire thing just pushing through and ripping, Charleston plans to cut through and let it drop down easily. Now this is going to leave a little bit of a rip, and Charleston thinks we can deal with that. It can stitch itself up pretty quickly after that. But the issue is, when this goes through, this end is still going to be tethered, and as it falls, it's going to take the boundary and it's going to rip through with it. Now, it's only going to rip because it's going to be a damaged part of the boundary. What Charleston wants to do is he wants to tether this demon rock, this thing that the demons have. He wants to tether from this part of the boundary, and he wants to tether it to a stronger part, a part that has been untouched by the plague. The surgical strike is going to go through the hole. No, I didn't practice cutting the hole, but the surgical strike is going to come through the hole. See, that was easy. The whole thing didn't come collapsing. Now, if you tether this to here, you can pull it, and it stays. But if it was still tethered to the rip part, and you pull it, it's going to continue to rip, and you don't want it to rip. So the act of getting this from the top to the bottom is going to rip it. So that's why it must be tethered. Not from here where it wants to come through where it's going to be ripped. It needs to be tethered to a much stronger point, and that's what Charleston plans on doing.